And this meeting will come to order. Welcome to the August 13th Rutherford County School Board meeting. Tonight, with board permission, I am leading the pledge, if that's okay. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Joyce, I don't know that we have anybody specifically to remember in our moment tonight, but we'll still have a moment of silence, and maybe the perspective should be a safe school year, and we've certainly gotten off with a bang with the head count, Mr. Odom. So we'll remember our students and all of their families, and especially our administrators and teachers and other staff members. So you would join the board in a moment of silence. Thank you. And next is the approval of the agenda. So of course, we had a work session on Tuesday and went over a lot of these items. And a motion, please. Mr. Hodge and Mr. Estes is second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda carries. And now approval of the consent agenda. Mr. Young?
Second.
And Ms. Moore. Further discussion? Again, we had discussion on Tuesday. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Agenda carries. Okay. Mr. Odom, I think we don't have any visitors. Ms. Michaels? Number 7, Mr. Oak.
Number 7 is a recognition. Ms. Gilligan, could I get you to come to the microphone, please? This is Amy Gilligan. She's from Smyrna Elementary School, one of their interventionists there, but she has been appointed. She was you are the only teacher appointed by the governor. He gets 4 appointees, right? Mm-hmm. The governor has them state standards recommendation committee. Tell you just a little bit about her. I've seen some of her teaching and training. She has been working with the state for several years now and training teachers how to teach reading. She even, Mr. Estes and Mr. Jordan, she taught high school teachers how to teach reading. And the one thing that I hear when people that go to Ms. Gillian is that when they leave that session, they say, that's something I can do or use tomorrow. And that doesn't happen with every in-service you go to, right? So real compliment there. And also know, I think the state may have tapped you. Did they send you to Washington or something recently to do something too?
No, I was going to, but they asked me about it too late, and I've got 3 boys, so I couldn't make it work. But I'm on the committee with the Mid-Cumberland Corps Office for the new Reading Foundations Board that they're initiating, and so I was going to go to Washington with the ladies from the Mid-Cumberland Corps Office to go to the the National Reading Foundation's conference, but I wasn't able to go. Broke my heart, but.
Do you mind telling them a little bit about what your charge will be with the governor, of what you know about that so far?
Yeah, so what little they've told us, we've had 2 conference calls up to this point. We're actually meeting at Opryland Saturday. It'll be our first committee meeting, and we'll start by sitting with the committees that were brought together prior to us, the review committee, and there's one other committee, I forget what they were called, but the website that was opened in November of 2014 to allow parents and educators to comment on the current Tennessee state standards. There was committees that went through all of those comments, and there were thousands and thousands of comments that were left on that website. So the committees that have come before us have been kind of going through those things, making changes, modifications to the current Tennessee state standards. And so our committee, the Standards Recommendation Committee, is going to take that final draft of the standards as they are now. And over the period of 5 months, we are going to make the final recommendations to the State Board of Education for the Tennessee state standards.
Board members, do you have a question?
How's
Ms. Goody?
Mr. Gullion handling all of the prestige and fame that
Well, we both had a big day this past week, with him being in the top 5% for growth and then my announcement. So a lot going on. The more that I take on, the more he has to watch our 3 boys. But we're both extremely passionate about this work. Our dinner conversations revolve around this. We don't ever leave it because we both love it. So we're both just humbled and glad and proud to be a part of Rutherford County. I feel like I am where I'm at today because of the support that I have always received from anybody that I've worked with in this district since I became a new teacher. Richard Zago was my principal for 6 years, and he always supported me and helped me to believe in myself as a leader, and I flourished under him because of that.
we're awfully proud of your success and that you will represent us well, and we'll give you a laundry list of things that we would like for the governor to do for us, so,
Absolutely. I will relay those.
Holiday.
I often find the occasion to share with a teacher that's been appointed from Rutherford County to be bold and to take the opportunity and speak first among the group that you're in. I really don't have that concern with you. I think you're prepared, and the passion shows that you're going to step forward. But I encourage you to do so because Rutherford County is the tip of the spear for education in Tennessee, and we need to know that when we go into these settings. It's why we have someone on the teacher cabinet for the governor, and why the governor has placed such high confidence in you as well. Yesterday, I had the opportunity, and we discussed it in the work session, and because I've got to step away early, I'm going to take a little liberty here to share some of the concerns that we have with the Summer House Education Conference. So the House Education Committees came together in a joint session, and they looked at several education issues. The Tennessee assessment or the Tennessee standards, coupled with the blueprint assessment that are out on the website now, really need to line up now with the assessment tool, and that was the primary topic of that study session. In that, I shared with them concerns that we had about the 6th and 7th grade social studies curriculum. That is something that Rutherford County has really spent a lot of time. First, in the textbook that my fellow board member, Ms. Moore, kind of led some awareness about, but then also in the curriculum standards and in the assessment tool. We want to make sure that we pay attention to that because the parents and taxpayers of Rutherford County are taking notice of that. When we raise it to the rest of the state of Tennessee, they all say, that's in there? That's there? As if it were a surprise to them, and they share that concern. But it's important for us to raise that as an important issue. So share that with you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, congratulations, and thank you for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
For those that were watching on television or internet, most of us mentioned her husband is Mark Gullion, who is the principal of Cedar Grove Elementary. And with her, sitting there, is Amy Patton, who is her principal at Smyrna Elementary. I was on the TVAS site this week and ran some rankings, value-added rankings for over 1,000 elementary schools in Tennessee. Who came out number 1 in the state, Ms. Patton? It would be Smyrna Elementary, number 1 in the state for value-added mathematics this year. Over 1,000 schools.
And only
Doing
you
some-
would be able to do that, Mr.
No, no, they can do it too, they know.
You and David.
I just have the opportunity to point that out.
That's great. You're good. Congratulations.
You do a great
Very
job,
proud of you.
great job.
We will move on to number 8, Mr. Odom.
Number 8 is facilities, and the first one is the John Coleman Elementary School bid, number 3140. Rutherford County Schools Engineering and Construction Department received bids from R.G. Anderson Company, Robert S. Biscayne and Company, and Sane Construction Company for the construction of the new John Coleman Elementary School. R.G. Anderson was the apparent lowest and best bidder, coming in at $17,239,000 plus add alternate number 2B, gymnasium LED lighting of $9,000, add alternate number 2C, exterior LED lighting, $8,700, and a deduct alternate number 3 of resinous flooring of $10,000, for a total of $17,246,700. The Rutherford County Board of Education is currently waiting on approval for the final building and grading plan by the Army Corps of Engineers to begin construction. To recommend approval, the motion is to approve R.G. Anderson Company as lowest and best bidder for construction of the John Coleman Elementary School at a cost of $17,246,700, contingent upon approval of construction by the Army Corps of Engineers as presented.
Recommendation,
So moved.
Mr. Holliday.
Second.
And it's aye, but I saw Mr. Estes, so. Further discussion.
I just want to compliment the work that really pushed this project across the threshold, and it was in our County Commissioner, Rhonda Allen, but also in our Chairman, Wayne Blair, and the tour of county commissioners to this facility. The leadership there by Chairman Blair was outstanding to put those people in the presence of the need, and from that, we now have a project that is really going to pay off.
We have a very involved board, and I'm very grateful for everybody's participation and something that really needed to be completed, so.
And it came in under the budget or estimate too. The bid actually came in under 900, what was it? I'm sure.
Thank you, Mr. Clardy. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So B is new on your agenda tonight. We did not get a chance to discuss it Tuesday night because the bids were opened this afternoon at 2 o'clock. Roy Waldron was very interested in this. Dr. Pewitt has a parent meeting tonight, so she's been tracking it to see what happens. This is the Roy Waldron Elementary School Edition bid number 3141. Bids were received in the Rutherford County School Board Room August 13, 2015 at 2 p.m. for the Roy Waldron Elementary School Edition. Of the 6 bidders that participated, Barron Construction LLC submitted the parent low bid, coming in with a base bid of $4,009,200. Engineering has chosen add alternate number 1, renovation of restrooms at $51,800, to add to the base bid, making the total bid $4,061,000. These are the restrooms located in the gym area where the stage addition is proposed. This figure is within budget, and the project has been funded by the full Rutherford County Commission. Recommend approval of the motion to approve Barron Construction LLC for the lowest and best bid in the amount of $4,061,000 for the Roy Waldron Elementary School Edition, including add alternate number 1, renovation of restrooms as presented. Mr. Clardy is here if you'd like to ask additional questions tonight.
Since we did not have this on the work session, before we make a motion, would you like Mr. Clardy to come forward? I think we would like some comments possibly from you, Mr. Clardy.
As you will recall, this is a 2-story addition that includes 15 new classrooms and new teacher work areas. We are testing a new design in parts of these classrooms because of the trip that we made up there to look through and saw that there were so many different fractures of classes stuck in closets and everywhere else. So we decided to build in some rooms that have partitions that will be easily removed if they need to be, to put a larger class in there. So we had 6 bidders today. We had very good participation. The bid ranged, there's a spread of $700,000 in the bid through 6 bidders, which I thought was pretty decent. And Barron Construction Company, although we are not real familiar with them, we know who they are, but they're using the cream of the crop subcontractor, so we are confident that they're going to do us a good job. And just thank everybody for all the work they've put in on these 2 different jobs to get these funded.
The small areas he's talking about, because those schools have higher populations of English language learners, and some of the special ed, some of the intervention programs that we're having to do that sometimes goes with a little bit different poverty level. What he's talking about, the flexibility for some smaller areas to allow teachers to take small groups of students and work with them. So that's part of the flexible design changes that we're making with this one.
I guess that was going to be a question that I was going to ask, was about the construction company, because I don't know that Mr. Hodge, I remember them either. So what I do have confidence in is you and your project manager being intimately involved in any construction project. So even if we don't know them very well, and that you know the subs and you're going to be looking over their shoulder, that gives me confidence.
I'm confident they'll do an excellent job. I'd like to say also that we have incorporated in this design more computer space for the testing that's coming just around the corner. They're going to be doing more electrical outlets. We've set it up so that the computers can be moved to the outside walls, so you can spread the students around the outside walls to get them separated to do the testing. So we will manage these contractors and try to get it finished on time.
Board members, further questions?
I think it's important, too, that and I'm going to echo what Mr. Holliday said a minute ago, and add a couple of names to that. First of all, of course, the county commission agreed to build 2 projects at Roy Walden and John Coleman. But something that Mr. Holliday brought up, and that is the tours which the principals and Mr. Blair and others organize. It's sometimes becomes all too easy if you don't see something for yourself to perhaps discount it if you don't really see the need yourself. And when you can get people up there, in this case, in the Laverne area, and to see the obvious needs, becomes, I think, a little easier, and it's particularly helpful when Mayor Burgess shows up and asks great questions and takes the entire tour, was there early, doesn't leave, before it's over. He does the entire thing, and then when he ends up supporting it because of the needs of children, I think that's extremely important, and that's why we're getting to do this for these youngsters.
I'd also like to just bring to your attention that all the projects in this book, we're closing in on them. There's only a couple or 3 that are left in the entire book.
Wow. Very impressive. If we don't have any further questions, would like to have a motion. Mr. Hodge
Second.
and Mr. Holliday. Further discussion, again, further questions, since we did not have this on the work session. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. I was remiss, Ms. Haley and her faculty are having a parents' night tonight, so that's why the audience is not filled with a lot of John Coleman administrators and faculty. They are having a parent night, and I was remiss to explain their absence. So
Let's put Mr. Zago to work. Would you please email both of those principals, since they've got parents there, and they can announce. Dr. Pruitt, I know, is expecting it, so I think they started about 6. It'll let them, they can announce tonight that the school board tonight has approved those 2 projects.
Oh, let's have some fun. Tell Dr. Pruitt that we put it off.
Kind of a cruel streak that we, number 9, Mr. Odom.
Number 9 is financial matters. School activity funds, this is accounts payable and receivable. Each year, the school board must approve the accounts payable and receivable for each of the school activity funds that had outstanding accounts payable, $3,539.14, or accounts receivable, $8,036.90 at the end of the fiscal year. These are all routine school business transactions that relate to the 2014-2015 school year. They could not be closed out by June 30, 2015 because additional documentation was needed before a bill was paid or the school was waiting on a payment. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the 2014-2015, the accounts payable in the amount of $3,539.14, and accounts receivable in the amount of $8,036.90 for various school activity funds as presented.
Heard the recommendation? Mr. Young and Mr. Estes. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 9B.
For our people that listen, again on internet and TV, all of the audits of every school in Rutherford County is audited each year, as well as our central office. That has been completed at this time, right, Mr. Samby, as far as you know? Okay. Okay, so every school is audited every year. B is approval of Read 180 System 44 Intervention Solutions for Smyrna High School, Smyrna Middle School, and Laverne Middle School. The Curriculum and Instruction Department is seeking the approval of purchasing Scholastic's Reading Intervention Program Read 180 System 44 for use in their Tier 3 classrooms at Smyrna High School, Smyrna Middle School, Laverne Middle School. Read 180 System 44 is a research-based reading program that is designed not only to serve below proficient students, but also one that is designed to stretch these same students in order to accelerate them in the areas of reading, writing, and critical thinking. The design proposal will provide teacher and student instructional materials, licenses for the blended online learning component, provide teachers with product training, and provide in-classroom coaching by an implementation specialist to assure success in delivering the instruction to provide maximum gains for these students. Recommend approval. The motion is to approve the purchase of Read 180 System 44 products and training for Smyrna High School, Smyrna Middle School, and Laverne Middle School. The total cost is $162,982.36.
For the recommendation? Mr. Hodge? And Mr. Young. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We actually piloted this in other high schools prior to adding them to these, so some of them have been involved. I think, did you have the Read 180? It was been piloted in a few of our schools. Holloway, some of the highest at-risk schools we did. C is a technology department purchase. The Technology Department is seeking approval to move from purchasing individual licenses for Microsoft operating systems and Microsoft Office to purchasing Microsoft volume licensing through Microsoft's Enrollment for Education Solutions. The pricing is based off a full-time faculty, student, staff equivalency and will ensure all Rutherford County Schools computers, faculty, and students will have the latest updates in software. The price is $217,854 and is included in our technology budget for 2015-2016. Recommend approval. Motion to move from purchasing individual licenses for Microsoft operating system and Microsoft Office to purchasing Microsoft volume licensing through Microsoft's Enrollment for Education Solutions.
For the recommendation?
So move.
Mr. Jordan and Ms. Moore. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 10.
Number 10 is the textbook adoption committees. The instruction department recommends the following amendments to local math textbook adoption committees: TCA 496-2207C 1 through 4, D 1 through 2, E, F. All members appointed on each committee has completed a record of names and qualification form. As required by state policy, this form remains in the office of the local director of schools for 6 years of adoption. It is documentation that the board approves the textbook selecting committee and that all are qualified to serve. Recommend approval. A motion to approve the list of amended members of the record of names and qualification of members of local textbook selecting committee K5, 6-8, and 9-12 as presented.
Heard the recommendation? Mr. Hodge and Mr. Estes. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 11.
Number 11 is revised policies. First one is policy 5.801, Director of Schools Recruitment and Selection. Purpose of this revision is state law requires a majority vote of all members of the board. Policy 4.700, Testing Programs. Purpose of this revision, a new state law allows districts to opt out of including TCAP scores in the final grades if the district does not receive the scores at least 5 instructional days before the end of the school year. Policy 6.4001, this is student surveys, analyses, and evaluations. Purpose of this revision, a new state law requires districts to adopt a policy prohibiting the collection of student biometric data involving the analysis of facial expressions, EEG brainwave patterns, skin conductance, galvanic skin response, heart rate variability, pulse, blood volume, posture, and eye tracking without parental consent. Policy 5.117, which is a procedure for granting tenure. Purpose of this revision is a new state law requires teachers to be given notice of non-renewal within 5 business days following the last instructional day rather than by June 15. Policy 5.201, separation practices for non-tenured teachers. Purpose of this revision, a new state law requires teachers be given notice of non-renewal within 5 business days following the last instructional day rather than by June 15th. Policy 6.205, student assignments. The purpose of this revision, a new state law requires a principal to separate an alleged victim of child sexual abuse from an alleged perpetrator if the abuse allegedly occurred while the child was under the supervision and care of the school. Additionally, the parent or guardian may request the child be moved to a different school. Policy 6.405, medicines. The purpose of this revision, a new state law allows students with pancreatic insufficiency or cystic fibrosis to self-manage their medication. Policy 2.800, expenditure of funds. Purpose of this revision is federal guidelines for the use of federal funds require the district to adopt a policy for implementing federal grant expenditure procedures. Policy 2.805, purchasing. The purpose of this revision is federal guidelines for the use of federal funds require districts to maintain conflict of interest standards governing the actions of its employees engaged in the selection, award, and administration of contracts. Policy 6.200, attendance. The purpose of this revision is to allow an exception for absences for college visits and exam exemptions for determining eligibility for perfect attendance. Policy 6.201 is compulsory attendance ages. Purpose of this revision, state law requires students entering kindergarten to be no less than 5 years of age on or before August 15th. Policy 6.503, homeless students. Purpose of this revision is state law requires students entering kindergarten to be no less than 5 years of age on or before August 15th. Policy 5.304, long-term leaves of absence. Purpose of this revision, to delete maternity leave and adoption leave as categories for extended leave in the absence of subject to a maximum of 2 consecutive years. Policy 4.401, textbooks. Purpose of this revision, to include specific requirements for members of the district's textbook adoption committee. Policy 4.605, graduation requirements. The purpose of this revision, a new state law requires districts to use the State Board of Education's minimum requirements for graduation for students in grades 11 or 12 who are enrolling or transferring are in the care of the Department of Children's Services. Policy 4.100, instructional goals. Purpose of this revision is to add the development of good citizenship to the list of instructional goals. Recommend approval. Motion to waive the second reading and the second meeting limitation to allow the board to take immediate action on the policies presented. You may want to act on that one first?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've heard the recommendation. Mr. Young and Mr. Estes. I was going to say, you probably need to take some water after reading all that, Mr. Odom. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And next, the recommendation.
Recommendation approval. The motion is to approve policies 5.801, 4.700, 6.4001, 5.117, 5.201, 6.205, 6.405, 2.800, 2.805, 6.200, 6.201, 6.503, 5.304, 4.401, 4.605, and 4.100 as recommended by the Policy Committee.
Heard the recommendation. Mr. Estes and Mr. Hodge. Met with the policy committee and went over this at the work session. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 12.
Number,
Mr. Odom, I have two names that have passed the background checks that we're adding.
did we get them on there tonight?
I do have them in. What I thought, since if it's okay with the board, that we would, because we made this kind of a big deal, that we would actually read the names.
Okay, I'll do that.
So I can, and I have penciled in the other two. If you can read my writing.
Okay, I'll be glad to do that.
So, as far as that's 13, that's 12, I don't know that we have any more discussion about that unless you have something else to add.
Mr. Tackett's working on some dates for, you asked to add the dates for spring sports, fall sports, that they would have, the recommendations, the fingerprinting, that sort of thing would be prior to the, brought to the board. So the policy was the same we worked on at our last board meeting. So the on the tab is the one you, not the first time you've seen that. That was on tab 6. But what is not attached yet is for the administrative policy. I want to, when he gets the dates, we want to run it by some of the principals. Mr. Spurlock's here, some others, some of the ADs, to make sure we're in line with times that can be met, and then we'll put out the dates for their submission.
I think that's going to be okay with the board.
Any other discussion?
I think we would like not to see this again, as far as being an issue. Okay. Number 13.
Okay, number 13. You didn't have to vote on, I don't think we have to. It's a discussion. There's no motion with that one. On
Yeah,
12,
I'm sorry.
on 12,
I
there's no motion.
I apologize. I was talking, Mr. Odom, about 13 when we actually should be on 12. I apologize.
So the non-faculty volunteer coaches, according to the Tennessee Secondary School Athletic Association, the TSSAA guidelines, Board of Education approval is required to allow non-faculty volunteer coaches to participate in school athletic programs. The following non-faculty volunteer coaches are for the 2015-2016 school year: Emily Anderson, Siegel High School, soccer for girls; Jeremy Anderson, Oakland High, football; Mike Bannister, Stewart's Creek High for football; Eric Bogle for Central Magnet High for basketball boys; Jonathan Boer for Oakland High basketball; Elizabeth Bullen, Stewart Creek High band; John Burns, Riverdale High softball; Bruce Trey Cockroft, Laverne High band; David Conley, Siegel High football; Stephanie Kerfman, Riverdale High Cross Country. Seth Doxey, Oakland High Baseball. Douglas DeRoss, Central Magnet Soccer. Dale Edwards, Oakland High Softball. Rodney Edwards, Central Magnet Softball. Allison Graham, Laverne High Band. Holly Gregory, Blackman High Choreography. Aubrey Grinzing, Oakland High Swimming. Donna Groff, Siegel High Choir. Jamie Hafner, Stewart's Creek High Band. Brett Holm, Riverdale High Swimming. Kelly Holcomb, Riverdale High Football. William Jackson, Rock Springs Middle Softball. Michael Jarrett, Rockville Middle Football. Jordan Kiss, Blackman High Football. Darcy Leach, Central Magnet Middle Cross Country. Emily Leonard, Oakland High Dance. John H. McInnes Jr., Rock Springs Middle Soccer Boys. Casey McCormick, Siegel High Choir. Nelson Moore, Laverne High Band. Jason Morrison, Rockville Middle Soccer Girls. Jessica Payton, Riverdale High Cheerleading. Eddie Pope, Stewart's Creek High and Siegel High Choir. Donna Sharon, Siegel High Choir. Jeff Shipley, Stewart Creek Middle Football and Softball. Randy Lee Siphones, Siegel High, Oakland High Band. Collier Smith at Central Magnet Middle Tennis. Rachel Steiner, Riverdale High Band. Robert Taylor, Stewart's Creek High Basketball Boys. Robert Thacker, Central Magnet and High and Middle Archery. Matt Throneberry, Oakland High Football. Tim Tips, Central Magnet High School Tennis. Christopher Turrentine, Smyrna Middle Football. Grace Veal, Blackman High Band. Jeffrey Verbenbruggen, Siegel Middle Football. Elizabeth Weeks, Blackman High Band. Emily Womack, Stewart's Creek High Dance. Brooke Woodson, Riverdale Dance. And Barbara Jen Zimmer, Stewart's Creek Middle Band. And Dion Meadows and John Smith at Smyrna Middle. I'm not sure what the... Football. Yes. Okay. And the motion is to approve the non-faculty volunteer coaches as presented.
For the motion, for the recommendation, rather. Mr. Hodge and Mr. Estes. And that was a long list. Thank you, Mr. Odom. You've had to do a lot of enunciating this evening. Better you than I. So, again, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have an insurance meeting later on this month that Ms. Barnes and Mr. Sandvig and myself will attend. We will make a report back to the board at after that time. Mr. Holliday certainly shared his thoughts on Tuesday night with his presentation before the Health Education Committees. And we'll move on to number 16, general discussion by board members. Mr. Odom, I think you have something?
Mr. Zago provided you with an enrollment count as of today. This is our fourth full day of school. And again, these numbers, as you saw the other night, when you saw the number of no-shows, they're still working through those. But the difference over the end of year is 872 students. So Rutherford County Schools tonight has 42,248 students that were turned in by the schools as enrolled. So 872 is a pretty good growth for this year at this point. Last year it tended to grow all during the year too, as additional apartments and houses were completed, but this is for right now.
And I know there's a lot of...
If that pattern holds, we'll hit the 1,000, won't we?
Just reminding the general public and our wonderful and supportive county commission, and I mean that absolutely seriously. We opened Stewart's Creek 2 years ago, and the main reason for building that high school was because of intense overcrowding. and at Laverne, and at Smyrna, and at Blackman. That was one of the main reasons the school was built. In the last 4 days, Smyrna, Stewart's Creek itself, Laverne, and Blackman have grown almost 600 students in the last 4 days from the end of last year. It doesn't include last year. That's just this summer. So take that for whatever it's worth. But those are the cold, hard facts.
I was surprised to see Laverne High and Smyrna High also growing this year along with Stewart's Creek. So some of the pattern we had before with the high schools seeming to grow, especially on the north end of the county, we are still seeing that. But you've had some significant growth at Oakland there too. And so the high school, we're in a period where it looks like the high school numbers are growing faster, maybe even than the elementary.
And that was the case last year.
It was true last year. It approached 3 to 4% for the high school grades, and the elementaries were more like 1.5%, something like that. We called him and asked him, "Is this right?" You know, so Mr. Nance is here. Is this right, Mr. Nance?
Continue to grow. If I may, would like to remind, maybe not remind, but take a moment to not only thank this board for your due diligence and your effort in this last budget. It certainly had a lot of work, not only from the board, but from the central office. And I think the presentation to the funding body was under the leadership of Mr. Odom and again, all of the board members, convincing them that although this was going to cause a tax increase, it was sorely needed. And 14 of the commissioners were convinced and voted to support what we submitted. But I wanted to thank this board for their due diligence, and certainly the commission for their courage and their due diligence, because they vetted us. They certainly had questions and investigated and made sure that the information that we were sharing with them was correct. You know, we've certainly had a good history of leadership, Mr. Odom, what you've done for us, and of course, Mr. Gill and the years he spent, and we've had certainly some outstanding board chair, Mr. Hodge. You certainly been grateful for your leadership, Dr. Burns and Mr. Wise. So it's my hope that our administrators and our faculty and our employees have reached out to our commissioners to thank them, because it certainly was a labor of love to get this budget passed. Well, I guess I've talked enough for one evening.
Also, Mr. Chairman, in the last week or so, just to pass this along, and Mr. Spurlock is here with us tonight, but I did give an email from him today thanking this board for the attention being paid to the Oakland gym floor, which had not been replaced in 42 years, and I think it was probably time. At any rate, I did get, he's not the only person I heard from. I heard from Coach Grandstaff and from Assistant Principal at Oakland, Tim Rotner, and from Tom Nolan at Riverdale, and Michael Voss, the coach at Riverdale, and Coach Kaufman at Riverdale, all of them, and I'm passing this along to y'all, that they are delighted. I have seen the Riverdale artwork on a cell phone, copy of it, and it is beautiful, and Coach Grandstaff informs me that Oakland will be better, of course, which didn't surprise me at all, but at any rate, it's something that will be very visible to thousands of basketball fans over the years, and if you recall, you all requested new seats out there in the upper gymnasium, which also were 42 years old, and those were replaced, and Mr. Clardy has done wonders in those two gymnasiums in the last 2 years, and they appreciate it. Tell your crews that.
I apologize, I have not had a chance to look at my email, so I'll send a return thank you for that. Thank you, Ms. Jordan. Ms. Moore?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, just going back to your comments about the budget, I just wanted to share a little bit. First of all, of course, this was my first year working with the school budget, and it was an eye-opening and interesting experience, and I appreciated being a part of it. A lot of it, of course, as we all know, is tough and sometimes a thankless job. But what we were able to accomplish this year for the teachers, I've been truly humbled this past week by the outpouring of thank you notes and appreciation that our teachers are showing, when in reality I'm kind of like, this is what we were supposed to do, and we wish we could have done a lot more for them. But it just has really heightened my awareness and appreciation of the kind of teachers and staff that we do have in our school system. They're amazing, and it was very nice to see that kind of appreciation, but obviously not necessary. That's what we needed to do for them. So.
Yes, ma'am, very well said, thank you. Anybody else? Well, I think the weather has maybe changed, maybe towards the fall, so looking forward to football and the other items. Next regular board meeting will be Tuesday, September the 1st. And there will not be a work session prior to that meeting. So for that, we'll just have one meeting, September 1st. Get that on your calendar, and Ms. Michaels certainly is always very good about sending us a reminder, so we're grateful for you taking care of us. Mr. Odom, is there anything else?
I might say that we do this from time to time. We went over some things rather quickly tonight, like the Microsoft with 200,000, the Read 180, 200,000. The public looking at it may say, my goodness, but you talked about this and went into it in detail on Tuesday evening in the work session. So that's why we have our work session, so the board members tonight were able to vote based upon our conversations Tuesday night and questions that they might have relating to it. So we take this very seriously and try to cover it.
And the reason for the work session, of course, is to give staff an opportunity to research and get an answer if a board member has a question about an issue that maybe you or one of your staff may not have the answer at that moment. So it gives them time to have access on that next regular board meeting.
I think the Rutherford County Football Jamboree starts at Stewart's Creek High School, 6 p.m. Friday evening. Am I right, Mr.? Okay, so we want to get the chance to go in and see all of our teams for a short period of time at that Jamboree. And then coming up at MTSU, you want to mention that, Mr. Spurlock?
Kick off for Blackman somewhere around, let's say, early in the day, 2 o'clock or something of that nature. It's, we play, what's that team? Goodness gracious. Team out of Birmingham. Hoover High School, nationally ranked Hoover High School. We'll play the second game, and Blackman takes on the 6A champion of Alabama, Clay Chalkville. Tickets are $15 at the gate or online, or $10 at either one of our schools, Blackman or open.
Friday night lights here. The other thing, MTSU, our Blue Raiders will be playing soon, and hopefully the community will pour out and support them like we do our high school teams. We'd love to see it filled. Stadium filled. Board members, anything else? All right, thank you, and have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe. We stand adjourned.